Hi everybody, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us as we track two different systems that are coming in for our weekend. Subtropical rain in the north, and in the south, a cold snap. A short-lived one, but it looks pretty cold. So let's take a look at the animated wind map. Now I've thrown in something a little different today. This is actually called the misery index. And by that, we've thrown in temperatures as well as wind. And it's not rocket science. Blue means cold, red means warm, and the black you see in the middle here, that's actually temperate. And that's where New Zealand is. And considering we're in the middle of autumn, it's a pretty appropriate map to show you because we've been getting these subtropical events lately, of course, tapping into this warm air to the north of us. But now that we're into the middle to end part of autumn, we're getting closer towards the end part of it, we're going to see more of these cold systems coming northwards, and we've got a couple on their way already, in fact, just coming in over the weekend, and another one later on next week. So this is how it looks on the wind and rain map for Friday, blocking high to the northeast up here, and then there's the main line of rain, pretty narrow. That's the subtropical vein of rain that's heading down towards parts of the South Island, especially around the Nelson area. This front is very slowly moving up the South Island over Friday. Most of the wet weather on the other side, mainly dry in the east, only a few spits getting into places like Southland and Otago. It is mainly dry for you still. I know Southland, you need some rain. This is not the system for it. There might be some coming next week. We'll touch on that in a moment. Now to the weekend. This is the area with the subtropical rain. It's forming into low pressure. There's a couple of centres, but it's going to merge into one strange sort of dragged out long low that stretches like this. A blocking high to the east is slowing the movement down of this system, and it's also helping to fuel it by driving in these humid northeast winds or northerly winds. And then in the south, mainly dry and settled on Saturday to begin with, but you can see the winds pick up as the day goes on. The temperatures will lift up a little bit as a result of that westerly, but there's another low down there that's going to bring another cold front. You can see it lining up there. That's the main event coming in later on Saturday. So when we go to the Saturday temperature maps, this is before the cold changes come in. So you see oranges and yellows all the way down, even including Invercargill, which has got a slight yellow tinge to it down there. You might not be able to see on the screen. And that indicates that the temperatures are up and towards the mid to late teens. That's Saturday. Then we go to Sunday. Look at all the blue. Much, much cooler. Single digit daytime highs coming in for Southland and Otago. The cold snap not quite so intense in Canterbury or the North Island on Sunday, but it still will get colder over Sunday and Monday in the north as well. And so speaking of Sunday, here we go. Low pressure stretched down across that whole area there, as I just mentioned. So it's not overly windy, but it's unsettled with the rain going around it in a clockwise fashion, subtropical element out to this side, and then you've got a colder southerly coming in towards the lower North Island. And it's this cold change here, that's the reason why it's going to be single-digit temperatures at the warmest part of the day on Sunday. If you can see that dark blue line that comes up there and down, that's really the coldest of the air is in this corner of the South Island, but many people will feel it, especially as it moves northwards, and a fair bit of rain around the country there. And we end on Monday, which shows just how unsettled it actually is around the North Island. Low pressures systems all sort of lined up in this area, while high pressure systems are further south. Welcome to autumn. And further south from that, in comes the next system. So late next week and the first weekend of May looks a little cold and a little bit like we are heading towards winter, which obviously we are. That is all from me. We'll update you again tomorrow with obviously the very latest for the weekend as we track the cold snap in the south and the wet weather in the north.